Hey everyone, Dog Mom Extraordinaire, how are you? I'm super excited to talk to you guys today. So I know it seems a bit early for next year planning, but one thing that Alex and I wanted to do this year, but then didn't because obvious reasons, we would love to go hiking the Pictured Rocks here in Michigan. I don't think I've ever done that before. Alex has with this Boy Scout troop way long ago. And it would be something that we have always wanted to do. And we just haven't made the time and planned it out. So I'm thinking, okay, next year we're going to plan the date. We're going to get everything ready. But we would love to take our dog Keaton with us. So they're currently sleeping. That one's Keaton. He's our 5-year-old puppy. Not puppy, but dog. But we can't take Mischief because of some of the reasons that I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. So what I'm going to be talking about is safety tips for hiking with your dog. It's not just as simple as, hey, let's go and, hike 20 miles tomorrow type of a thing. So there's a few websites that I would love to hit on first and foremost. You guys can, if you are wanting to go hiking with your own dog, there's so much information on what you should know. I'm just going to go over some of the safety stuff and little bits here and there. So my friend Tamra, she has a blog called Campfires and Coffee.com. I'll put some of these links also in the chat when I get all done. But it's a really cool blog. She talks about all of her hiking adventures that she takes her dog on. Aspen, so cute, so adorable. And just kind of the ins and outs. She's done stuff from Michigan all the way to California. So go and check that out for some more information. Let's see, what was the other one? Oh, because my first tip is to make sure that the dogs are allowed. So on campfiresandcoffee.com, she talks about which ones she's able to take her dogs on. And then NPS.gov, so that's the National Park Service. You can find the national parks. You can find a whole list of which national parks you can actually take the dogs onto. Most of them you can't, but there is a list that you can. So Isle Royal, you cannot take dogs onto Isle Royal, unfortunately. I would love to take Keaton on there, but can't do that. BringFido.com is also a really great place where you can find a list of hiking opportunities, and HikeWithYourDog.com. So again, I'm going to put these into the chat after I get done, and you guys can kind of take a look, plan out your trips, because planning really is the best way to prevent a lot of these things from happening. So make sure dogs are allowed first and foremost, and also make sure that your dog is microchipped. Huge thing. It's easy, it's simple, it's very cost effective. A lot of times you can even get them for free. So I think I paid $12 for each one of my dogs, and then for it to be registered, it's completely free. So make sure your dog has a microchip, because tags are great, except if they are running around, the tags can fall off. That's things that can happen. It gets stuck by a stick. Next thing you know, your tag is gone. If something the leash breaks or something bad was to happen, it's a great way that you can still get your dog back when they're found. So my second tip is keep your dog on a leash. This is for your dog safety, and also it's just really good pet etiquette. Some of the guidelines is you really need to keep your dog on the trail. So this helps with chasing after wildlife, reduces habitat damage, because we really, even just like us, we should not be going off of the trails when we're going hiking. You should really be keeping on the trails. And this can actually, having your dog just run off can hinder nesting by some of the local animals, because your dog is leaving the scent around where they shouldn't be. It should just be right on the trail. So also the next thing, my third tip, is to plan your dog for your dog's needs. Now this is obviously going to vary depending on the type of hike that you're going to be going on. Is it going to be an overnight hike? Are you going to be hiking in the mountains? Or are you just going to be doing something easy here in Michigan? You know, it kind of just depends on what your needs are. But there is, you want to make sure you pack food, water, treats, poop bags, because you want to leave no trace. You need to pick up after your dog. That is very basic etiquette for going on a hike. Always pick up after your dog. Don't just leave it, even in like one of those biodegradable bags. Don't leave it on the trail. Like if you bring it in, you got to take it out. A first aid kit. I could do a whole thing on a first aid kit. And then like a doggy backpack. So that's a good way too, like especially the dogs can help carry their food, carry their treats. You don't want to overpack them by any means, but it's a great way that they can help carry their own load. And I'll attach a link for like a full gear list so that you guys can check out like what fully you should have. But definitely, no matter what kind of hike you're going on, you want a doggy first aid kit. There's so many ways that simply, you know, whether it's a stick or a rock or something that they can like hurt their paws. And so you want to make sure that you have some way to kind of like help protect their paws. Or you can get booties. The ones I've tried for Mischief, they didn't stay on. So I don't have any recommendations right now for booties. If you guys have a recommendation, if you love to go hiking with your dog, please let me put some stuff in the chat. Let me know what kind of booties or what kind of items that you make sure that you always take with your dog. But these are just kind of like a nice basic list. Obviously, if you're going to be spending the night, you're going to want to have like a pad, or the dog can get their own like the sleeping bag. Sorry, sleeping bag. I lost my mind here.
One sec.
Huh? Okay. But yeah, so they can get their own sleeping bag, but you want to make sure that the dog has something comfortable to sleep on so that they're good and rested, just like you, for the next day. Okay, so that is planning your dog's needs. The next tip number 4, is know yours and your dog's limits. If you're going to be going for a long hike, you want to make sure that you keep your endurance. You don't want to just go crazy. The dogs are going to be excited. They're going to want to push and go fast, but you really kind of want to reel them in and make sure you guys aren't going too fast, because you do want to plan out, especially if it's a multi-day hike, you want to make sure that you're planning out how far it is to the next place that you're going to stop. And you definitely want to make sure that there's enough time for resting and enough time for kind of downtime during your hike at night to like set everything up. So you want to make sure that your dog has proper conditioning before you go out on for like the long days. So Keaton here, we go for just walks, normal walks, but that's not really like good enough conditioning if, say, we wanted to go to like pictured rocks. Like I would even just pictured rocks. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be lots of things going on. It's going to be completely different than he's ever done before. So you want to make sure you're taking your dog out on before you go for like something big like that, multi-days. You really want to get your dog conditioned, because especially if your dog's very young, really old, they've got joint issues, you want to make sure that your dog is healthy enough to go on the hike. I'm not going to take Mischief. Mischief could not do it. Sorry, girl, you're just going to have to stay home, because with her short little legs, and she's like 11 now, she just can't go as far. Keaton, he's 5. He's a Beagle Pit Bull mix. He is good to go. He loves to just go. But he himself is going to have limitations as well. It's not like we could just go and hike 10 miles tomorrow and have him be fine. It's like 3 to 5, yeah, but definitely not 10. That would be way overexerting him. So that brings up another thing. You want to make sure you know your breed. So yes, some small dogs like Jack Russells, those are really great for hiking, even though that they're small. But dogs that have like that pressed in face, or just dogs that maybe a beagle that doesn't listen very well and are very vocal on the trail. Things like that might not be the best on a hike, or even like maybe a husky during the hot, top summer times. Things like that, you want to make sure that you just know your breed and know if it's going to be the right thing for your dog. And that segues into my next thing. Know the weather and the terrain. So if it's going to be a really hot day, you want to make sure that you yourself have your own water. But maybe it's a good day to just, go hiking on your own and leave the dog at home if it's going to be really hot. You want to make sure that it's not going to be really extreme on any way. Either really hot or really cold, because you want to make sure that the dog is they can't tell you and say, hey, I need to stop. They do in their own way, which I'll get into next, but you can't vocally tell you those things. So some of the safety tips to be looking for is, what does your dog look like if they're getting overexerted and you just need to take a break, you need to take a stop. So if they're panting rapidly, drooling, you can see that they're getting dehydrated, if they're unresponsive, stalling, visibly exhausted, if they're just kind of staring out in the middle of nowhere, or even like dragging their feet. Mischief will do that if we have walked too far and she's just getting really exhausted. She'll kind of like drag her back feet, and then we know that we need to take a little 5-10 minute break for her to kind of regain everything, and then go into, getting back to our hike. Well, walk. And we don't really hike with Mischief. So those are some of the ways. Or like if your dog's getting too hot, you'll notice that when their tongue comes out, it like expands and it almost makes like a big bowl. That you for sure need to find some shade. Your dog's getting overworked, get some water. So you always want to make sure you have a collapsible bowl or an easy way. I have one, it's out there. It kind of looks like this, but it has a bowl at the top, and you can just squeeze it. It brings up the water. The dog can lick out of the bowl. Release it, it goes back down. You always want to make sure that you are bringing your own water and not letting your dog drink from any of the puddles or anything around, because I'm going to get into the next thing, which are some of the dangers that your dogs can find while they're out on the trail. So obviously temperatures, like I just said, those extremes, you really want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your dog with that. The overexertion. If your dog falls, and they could get injured. They could maybe split their paw open. Unfortunately, they can break bones. They're just like us. So that's some of the dangers that can be out there. Paw injuries. There's creatures. So one thing that I hadn't even really thought about, but here in Michigan, we don't have things like scorpions. But if we were to take Keaton down to Arizona and try go hiking somewhere out there, they have those things there. So you really want to know what are some of the dangers or some of the creatures that could injure your dog. So snakes, ticks, all those types of animals and creatures can harm your dog. Also, poisonous plants. You really want to keep an eye on what is your dog sniffing around in. What are they trying to eat? Because if your dog gets poisoned out on the trail, that's not, if you are, a 2-day hike in and your dog eats something poisonous, you have to book it back. And who knows, depending on what they ate or if they got bit by a snake, those are some of the things that you really got to watch for. And then also the pathogens. So that's where I'm talking about, where if your dog drinks out of a lake, a puddle, a stream, there's a lot of things that can be out in nature that you don't want your dog having. And so some of the things that can happen with that is, lethargic, they're getting lethargic. If they've got diarrhea, I would definitely make sure that I always have in my safety kit, our GastroPro Plus, to make sure that everything stays in line, and not having the diarrhea. But then, they can have really bad reactions to a lot of the things that they find out in nature. So I do know that they make these little, especially if you're going to be going for a while and you're like me, where me trying to carry a 55-pound dog, not going to happen. Even Alex trying to carry a 55-pound dog, just carrying it out of a trail, that would be so exhausting. And especially if, something happened to him, say he broke a leg and I'm trying to hurry back. So they not going to be good for anybody. So they do make these special attachments that are like a backpack, but it's a way that you can safely put your dog in it, and you can carry the dog out. That's going to be something that's really important because there's so many things that can happen out on the trail, and you don't want to leave your dog out there. If there's coyotes or bears or bobcats, things like that you don't want to just leave your dog tied to a tree so that you can go for help. So investing, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of hiking, investing into that doggy backpack that actually carries your dog out, because I could carry him on my back. We would be slower, but it'd be much easier. We've tried to do that with Mischief just on our walks, and she's 35 pounds and she's too heavy. She's like a sack of potatoes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you found some good information, please let me know. Give me a heart, give me a like, put some things into the comments. I'd love to know if you are going to be planning some trips for your dogs. Have you been hiking with your dogs? Where did you go? What kind of equipment did you use? And booties. Please let us know what kind of booties you had, because I would love to get Keaton some for our next hiking trip. So have a wonderful night, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.